What's going on, everybody? Good late afternoon or early evening for some of you. And I said earlier today I wasn't sure if I was going to do a practice participation video. Kind of depended on what the practice participation report contained, because McDonald already told us a pretty good amount earlier today, but the practice report was actually pretty long and I think is actually worth looking at in a separate video. So we're going to take a look at the Wednesday practice report for the Seahawks and Patriots. This is from Nemhauser, Hawk Blogger on X. Saw it from many other people as well. So this is a little bit more concrete than McDonald just saying somebody is day-to-day. Like day-to-day could mean a lot of different things. I don't know what you can really take away from that necessarily. It sounds good. Like in the case of Fant, that's actually really encouraging because the injury looked bad. It's less encouraging for Walker because the injury seemed to be very, very minor at the time that it happened. But either way, you don't learn a ton from that. But let's take a look and see who got stuff done and who didn't today. So let's start with the DNP list for the Seahawks. On screen here, we have Ken Walker, George Fant, Nwosu, and Tyrell Dodson. So Ken Walker not practicing. I'm not terribly surprised by that, but it seems like the injury is more than nothing. Initially, I thought it was nothing, but now it seems like it's at least a little something. George Fant not practicing. On the one hand, I do think his injury is still significant enough to cost him some time. On the other hand, he'd probably get the day off even if he wasn't hurt because he's an older player and you don't want to be pushing that guy too much too quickly. So that doesn't really mean anything. Nwosu was always going to miss practice because we already know he's out. There's nothing to say there. Dodson, though, um, we're not going to be alarmed about anything until Thursday necessarily, but this is not what I needed to see. Did not need to see him missing practice, but we're not going to worry about it too much until Thursday. Thursday's the day where you need to start seeing some positive momentum, or else you have to start wondering if you're going to get the player on Sunday. Okay, limited participation. This was actually pretty long and is the main reason why I wanted to make this video, because limited participation might mean something, right? Now, sometimes it doesn't, right? Like Tyler Lockett was limited for most of the week. He went out there and was one of our best players. But Noah Fant was limited, and we knew that he was less than 100%, and he goes out there and he looks slow, he looks sluggish, he didn't do that much. He was one of the least effective players on the team. So it doesn't always mean something, but it is worth noting when somebody is less than 100%. Lockett and Fant still seemingly less than 100% could mean different things for the different players. But the big news here, the surprising news to me here of Pharaoh Brown, limited participation today with that foot injury. That's a very good sign. That sounds to me like he's going to play. And that is not nothing. That is absolutely not nothing. So Pharaoh Brown looking like he's making his way back. At this point, with the information we have, I flip a little bit on this one. I expect him to suit up and play on Sunday. We did have a trio of hamstring injuries on the defense that showed up as an LP. Keeping in mind that it's a Wednesday practice and they're probably taking it very easy. Anybody with any kind of injury of any sort is probably going to be held out. We had Jerome Baker with the hamstring, Draymond Jones with the hamstring, and Reek Woolen with the hamstring. Very unlikely any of this keeps them out of the game or even really limits their effectiveness. It's not necessarily what you like to see because all three of these guys were healthy coming out of the game seemingly. But it's worth monitoring going into tomorrow and Friday. Hopefully, by tomorrow, they're just completely off the injury report. Trey Brown also with the quadriceps, so that's news to me. I didn't know that he got hurt during that game. I didn't know he was hurt after that game. So again, that's something that you hope goes away completely by tomorrow, like he won't even be listed here. And quite often that does happen. So let's just continue to monitor the situation. Full participation, we had two guys on the offensive line, Tomlinson and Bradford, two guys who played miserably on Sunday in my estimation. Two guys who a lot of Seahawks fans don't want to be seen anymore. I agree with them on Tomlinson, not necessarily so much with Bradford, but either way, it is worth noting that they both have something going on, although there's no concern about them missing the game if they're already full participating on Wednesday. So nothing to be alarmed about there, but We came out of that Denver game with a lot of little dings, which I didn't expect. I thought it was going to be a lot cleaner today for the practice report. Granted, it only starts to mean something if they continue, if it's a trend that is repeated tomorrow. Okay, let's jump over to the Patriots side of things because they actually showed some interesting stuff as well. Sidney Sow did not participate. I mentioned that earlier today with the ankle injury. He was the only one who did not participate, though. Everything else is limited, and I think generally speaking, if you're limited, you're going to be cool for the game. David Andrews is listed here, which confuses me because ESPN told me he was on IR, so this implies that he's actually fine and he's going to play. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if ESPN had out-of-date information, but David Andrews is actually a significant part of this game for the Patriots because their offensive line is so bad and so cheap and so ill-equipped to do anything effectively that David Andrews being in the game would change things a little bit, and he's not even here with an injury designation. He's just resting. Same for Ramondre Dre Stevenson. He actually played very well against the Bengals, so it makes sense that he gets a day off. And he's somebody that we as the Seahawks need to be concerned with a little bit. They did have a bevy of other injuries, but again, I don't expect any of these players are going to be held out unless they get worse tomorrow. Antonio Gibson, their other running back, so they've got a nice little 1-2 punch in the backfield right now in New England. Jabril Peppers limited with the hip, Anfernee Jennings with the wrist and knee, so a couple things going on there. Badarian Lowe with the abdomen. Josh Uche, one of their top edge rushers, with the foot injury limited, and Dietrich Wise Jr. with the shoulder injury. So that is a significant list, but it's a significant list of guys that are likely going to play this week and are probably fine. Again, a lot of the time when it comes to these practice reports, you just need to find the trend. Like if somebody like Jabril Peppers is limited in practice all week, he's going to play, but what is he going to be able to do? Because that implies he's less than 100%. And that can show up in a negative way on the field, even if he does play. We saw it with Noah Fant this last week. We've seen it with other players throughout Seahawks history. We can tell they're not 100%, but they're out there trying to gut it out. It happens. All right, so that's the practice report for both teams. Ended up being more significant than I thought. Hopefully tomorrow it clears up significantly. There are quite a few players on this list right here that I would really like to not see when the practice report comes out tomorrow. Like, I understand that Lockett's probably going to be on this list all year because he is battling through stuff, but it's not stuff that is going to limit his effectiveness as a player. So him, whatever. But Jerome Baker, Draymond Jones, Reek Woolen, Trey Brown, get off this list. The sooner, the better, man. All right, that's probably it for today on YouTube. Come on over to Twitch. I'll be streaming tonight. Don't know what I'm streaming 100% for sure yet, but I will be streaming something. I hope to see you guys over there later tonight. Go Hawks. If I don't see you over there, I'll see you tomorrow on YouTube. You guys know what's coming up. You guys know what it's all about. See you guys soon. Go Hawks.